With the Thanksgiving holidays in full effect, this gives us a chance to talk about the lithium rally. Nobody's talking about lithium yet. That will change in 2026, but you can position yourself before that. Look at the chart of the Sprott Lithium Miners ETF. Beautiful bottoming formation, breakout. The party's on a lithium. And the reason behind it is there are new factors and a new use case in lithium that will completely rewrite the lithium story. You need to know about this. Lithium is heating up. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks, and month. Okay, so let's start with the lithium price. As you can see, we had the wild rally in 2021, 2022, and then a complete collapse in 2023 and 2024. 2025, basically bottoming formation, and now the lithium price is breaking out in a big way. Look at the price development in the past half year. Lithium up around 50%. It's one of the hottest commodities and nobody's talking about it. Why is that? Because lithium, after the historic run from 2021, 2022, is closely connected in the markets with the EV boom. In the US, the EV boom has clearly slowed down. As you know, Tesla is trying to reinvent itself now as a robot AI company with an additional car business and energy storage business. The real EV story is now happening in China. So why is the lithium price coming back? Well, EVs are booming in China, that is true, but the real story behind it is something else. After we had a big time lithium shortage in 2021 and 2022, lithium producers overbuilt capacities massively, specifically in China. That led to the price crash. Now, there are two new factors happening that you need to know about lithium to understand what is happening and how to play lithium in the best possible way. The action in lithium started to heat up in the summer, but really the dynamic shift, which then causes and is causing the turnaround, is that one of the big Chinese lithium producers, Ganfeng Lithium, in mid-November, so basically like 2 weeks ago, announced that they expect a 30% demand growth for 2026. Now, in 2023 and 2024, and parts of this year, several of the lithium mines are already shut down and the lithium projects were shut down because the prices were down and basically dead. So the oversupply has been reduced. Now, that can be increased easier than it was possible in 2021 and 2022, but it has been reduced. Now, if the demand grows, we get to a really interesting situation in a completely bombed out market. So, why is the lithium demand surging? Well, everybody's looking at EVs. And again, US EV market is getting pretty saturated. What the Europeans don't understand is, if you're from the US, obviously you know what I'm talking about. The majority of the people that want to own an EV on both sides of the coast basically have one now. And in the heartland, people won't drive an EV. That is a statement of life and a statement of political beliefs. So the major growth times for Tesla and the US EV market are done. Now, the Chinese market is booming, but that's basically a market where the Chinese lithium companies profit from. And here's where things get really, really interesting. because there's a new use case for lithium developing that nobody's paying attention to now. It's going to become big in 2026. And that is the second new growth driver, and that is energy storage. Lithium batteries will be needed for energy storage for data centers, specifically for AI data centers that use wind and solar. And as you know, until SMR technology is ready, which if you follow this channel, you know, after I talked to management of an SMR company, they all say the same thing. All the OCLOs and the SMR companies are basically in the same development stage, maybe different levels, but it's the same league, if you want to put it that way. They're all at least 5 years out, 5 to 10 years. So in the meantime, the AI data centers in the US will be powered by an energy mix that is mostly going to be gas. That's why I've turned bullish on nat gas, but also some wind and solar. There needs to be energy storage for that to guarantee a stable energy flow for the data centers. That energy storage needs lithium batteries. So if you believe, like everybody does, and that was basically the story why uranium stocks popped in 2025, that AI data centers are going to be one of these big growth stories, which, by the way, I do. Short-term, little overhyped, but medium to long-term, absolutely right story. Then lithium is the next hot play on AI data centers that is just getting into the market. Everybody's fixated on uranium. Nobody's fixated. So everybody's basically fixated on uranium and the energy production. Nobody's looking at the energy storage side yet, right? Which then will be the lithium story. So that is the interesting part. And this part is going to be huge in the US. This is completely different than the EV part, where we basically have seen the pinnacle of, at the peak of the growth phase. AI data centers, energy storage, that is coming. Now, there's a second component. And this then will lead us to our conversation about lithium stocks. And that is that lithium has become a geopolitical weapon, just as oil has become, just as uranium has become. The Chinese own large lithium reserves. The US are behind the curve in the development of lithium projects. There's a reason why the Department of Energy invested over $200 million in the Arkansas project of Standard Lithium. They understand we are behind the curve globally in lithium projects. We need to ramp up our game. And everybody was like, why do they care? Why does the Department of Energy care? It's EVs. Who cares? Well, they care because it's not about EVs. It's about energy storage. Now you understand. Got it? Yes. The market hasn't put this together yet, but it's getting there. And that's why we here at Hot Trades of the Day want to get in first. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss videos like this. So China, big on lithium, but what the Chinese did, and which is really interesting, and this is just clever geopolitically, is they're specifically focusing and becoming a superpower in the sectors of lithium refining and processing. So therefore, they have a chance now to use lithium as a geopolitical weapon against the US. What does that mean for us? That means what I've been telling you all about in 2024 and 2025 when we talked about uranium, when we talked about critical metals, when we talked about war materials and war metals. Made in the US will be the hottest lithium story. Yeah, you can invest in the Chinese lithium companies, and that's a good double play because China also obviously needs to build out their data centers. But the real story is focus on the made in the US lithium companies. Those will have the biggest leverage the same way as we saw in the uranium market. Now, let's look at some lithium stocks and see where we stand. And we're going to start with a big blue chip, Albemarle. It looks fantastic, as you can see. And if you followed my advice and you chose to invest your own money because you said, oh, it might be a good idea, I'm going to do my own research, which you always should do, then you got in at a nice price because we did have the pullback, we did have the retest of the yellow resistance zone. It's broken. Look at the weekly candles here. It looks fantastic. Breakout is coming, and that's the blue chip that everybody's going to jump on first. So this one has significant upside. Fantastic chart. Yes, short term it's overheated, so if you get a chance to buy it a little lower, even better. But we'll see if that is the case. Second one you need to look at, that was my second recommendation, Standard Lithium. Now let me zoom in on this and switch to the daily for this one. Here we go. This one looks great as well. I hope you got in. These were the two that I recommended first. Why? Why did I recommend these two first? Well, because you want the blue chip, because the lithium market. So the way to invest in, you can invest in lithium futures. You can't invest in lithium spot, but you can invest in lithium futures. They are listed the LSE and they are listed in the CME, but it's tricky, it's difficult. The standard way how to play lithium is through the miners. Through the miners and then indirectly through the battery makers. But the miners are really the play. Very similar to uranium. So you want to have the big blue chip in the miners, that's Albemarle, because that's the one that's big enough that institutions can buy. Remember, because we have been beaten down so bad in lithium and the lithium miners, a lot of these stocks are really small now. They're too small for institutions to invest in. Albemarle, they can do. And then we want to have made in the US. That's the big story. What's the big stock for made in the US? Standard Lithium. And you see, it looks great. We break this yellow resistance zone. Next stop is gap fill right here. This stock looks really juicy, ready to pop. Now, let me show you two more lithium stocks that I really like right now. Let me get to it. Again, I want to show you on the daily as well. You can play the ETFs as well if you don't want to play single stocks. Look how good the Sprott Lithium Miners ETF looks. Beautiful bottoming formation, breaking out. This is a great chart. So this is the option if you're not interested in, and there are other ETFs as well, but I like this chart the most if you don't want to invest in single stocks. Lithium Americas is one that I am absolutely interested in because, as you can see, we have the classic. Let me draw it in for you real quick. Bottoming formation. Here we go. There's the yellow line, the yellow resistance zone rather. You know, I prefer to work with zones rather than clear lines. Clear lines look good, but in reality, you know, markets fluctuate, so zones is a little better. As you can see, Lithium of the Americas trying to break through this resistance zone with a nice double bottom formation. We complete this. Next lithium stock, off to the races. Really like this one. Now, to be fair, 1.6 billion market cap US, not a giant stock. One of the bigger lithium plays, right? But not a gigantic stock. The other one that I really like, Sigma Lithium. Now this is a little more tricky. Obviously you can see, let me switch to the weekly here. Whoop, there we go. look at this crazy ride that lithium had. Look at this bull run and then this complete breakdown. This actually gives you a good idea what we're talking about. Are we going back to the 2022 highs? No. This is not what we're going to trade here with the swing trades. But what I'm trying to show you is how deep the lithium stocks have fallen, how out of favor they are. Nobody's invested in lithium stocks right now, which is awesome, which means everybody needs to buy. That's what we want to get in first. But obviously you see right away what I like about this stock. Broken uptrend, bingo. Now we're running right into this upper yellow resistance zone right now. That's not ideal, right? It'll probably, or it actually may take some time to work itself through it. But once we confirm the breakout above the downtrend and we get through this resistance zone, this stock as well, ready to party. So there you have it. 2 new lithium stocks, a completely new lithium story, which completely redefines the demand side for lithium. Nobody's talking about this now. This is going to come to the market probably in 2026. They will start to understand what's going on. Basically being triggered by lithium prices going up and completing the bottoming formation and the charts of the lithium miners breaking out, which then will trigger people to be like, well, what's going on there? I need to do my research. And that's then when the AI data center energy storage story comes out. And in 2026, all of a sudden you'll read, ooh, surprise, there's a new growth story in lithium. Well, you've known it then for a while because of hot trades of the day. So hit the subscribe button, you don't miss a video. Today, only half a trading day because of Thanksgiving festivities. So in tomorrow's special video, we're going to look at the stock market. The weekly candles, they won't tell us the true story of what the market is about. We will see next week. That's when things will be decided. This will also be important for the lithium stocks, obviously, because these are riskier stocks. So if the market is not going down significantly next week and we don't go back to the panic selling of the first half of November, the lithium stocks, they're ready. You just need to be in them. See you tomorrow. Have a great Black Friday. Don't spend all the money. What I'm talking about. Spend all the money. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.